Bear Paw Retreat, August 8th, 2026. Been a nice summer. A bit cool, but not too wet, and much better than the last few have been. Been a few changes since the last video. Added a couple more cabins. Done a little more earthwork. Polar Bear remains a very popular cabin. Sleep 6, 3 beds. Little Black Bear cabin gets its roof painted green this year. Put that addition on to the housekeeping cabin last summer, and made Kathleen, my housekeeper, an apartment there. Removed all these trees. Lots and lots and lots of dead trees. Speaking of Kathleen, there she goes. Off to clean the Bear View. The Bear View is a cabin I finished last summer. I think we had it open by beginning of July. It turned out very, very nice. Smaller than some other cabins. The guests like it. And of course the Grizzly Bear cabin remains the most popular. Fireweed's coming in pretty. I've removed all these dead trees on this island and planting new trees and flowers and stuff. And we're real happy with the addition. Turned into very nice accommodations for whoever's going to be housekeeper. Hopefully that will continue to be Kathleen until she doesn't care to do it any longer. Getting some big propane tanks in next year. Talked to the local propane company, and they'll be bringing in some large tanks for each cabin next year. That will simplify the propane issue for me. Always having to get bottles filled up. Kathleen's been making me new signs, doing a wonderful job at that. I think they're pretty. I like them. That fire pit sign's one of mine. You can see the difference in quality between hers and mine. These are much nicer. Nothing too much has changed here, I don't think, since the last video. This is the Grizzly cabin. We've got some bushes planted, some berry bushes. Rhubarb did great this year. We've planted some little trees between these two cabins that will grow up to be a privacy barrier. This cabin's very, very nice. Extremely popular, has its own little fire pit here. Beautiful views of our mountains. Some more of these trees I continue to trim out. The more our views opens up. I'm going to build another large cabin right over here. Or actually, I'm going to have it built. I will get the logs milled, get all the material here, and then I'm going to hire a crew from now on to start building these cabins. Wearing me out. We'll do a quick little walk through here and come back on the cabins from the other side. Nothing much has changed down here. I still haven't got the pond created. although that's likely coming up in the next year or so. I'll be bringing some larger equipment in here that will enable me to dig the pond as deep as I'd like to dig it. My excavator, my backhoe, won't dig as deep as I'd like to have the this pond dug out. And of course, you know, digging it out creates gravel that will be used on the rest of the property to build house pads and roads. So I want to get absolutely as much gravel as I can out of here. This is our little public fire pit. You know, the grizzly bear cabin has its own fire pit, but the other cabins don't, so this is a shared used little teepee there to keep the firewood dry, and mostly for the kids to play in. A little water there so they can put the fire out and the kids once again can play in it. Big push this fall. I think I have a couple people located willing to work for me. I'm buying a sliding miter saw to saw up all of that slab wood that is piled there. I don't know how many cords. There is a lot of wood there. Split, dried. Well, it's not split, it's slabs. Basically the same thing as split. And I'll get a miter saw and a stand set up and hire a couple of kids to turn all this into a bunch of firewood and then sell it for a reasonable price to make it all go away. The sawmill is still functioning well. I lost my shop to fire a year and a half ago, and that has resulted in me not being able to bring the sawmill in every winter and rebuild everything that needs rebuilt. So I am having a few more issues than usual. One thing I did install is a self-propelled drive on it. Simple, using a four-wheeler winch, rheostat switch, and I no longer have to push my sawmill. There is a comfortable chair under that tarp, and I can start it, and if it's towards the end of the day, I sit down in the chair and I watch it saw through the log, and before it comes to the end, I stand up and do what's necessary to stop the machine and get it started. But that made sawing the logs a lot easier than it was before. Of course, I was aware of that, but I wasn't aware how much easier it would be. Walking back and forth, pushing that mill head for 8 or 10 hours a day, wears a man out. A lot easier this way. All this is getting cleared. I've taken a lot of the dead timber out. I still have a lot more to take out there. Deck it up right here. It's going to become house logs for the next cabin. We have a lot of slash piles. They'll be getting burnt as soon as the snow flies. We get a little skiff of snow. I've covered part of it so it'll be dry and I can get the fire started, and we'll burn all that when it's safe to do so. The old 416 Caterpillar. I've owned it for 25 years now. Time to sell it and buy me a little newer one, and the next one will outlive me. Yeah, looking forward to getting all these logs and all this firewood cleaned up. These are some logs I dropped off yesterday that will be going to the mill. Since I no longer have a place to store the tools, I built a little tool shed here that just someplace to get my tools out of the weather. And need to complete it, get this front wall done. I have a good steel, I should say, security door that'll go on it, and be able to lock my tools up. I went with the 4-foot eave, lots of room to store stuff. I'll screw a couple legs down so that eave's not able to bend or break in the wintertime under snow load. This will be the glacier cabin. It's real close to being completed. Interior work for the most part. That's all that's left. And a little bit out here, but we'll probably tomorrow. The weather's good. We're gonna stain it and get the outside stain and then tinked. And this is pretty much a copy of the Bearview cabin. Bigger deck, much better view. I'll probably have a little fire pit out here. I've got the room to do that for them. And it'll rent for a little more than the Bearview cabin. It's just a little nicer. Like I say, a beautiful view. This dead tree is going to come out. I've I've only left it so I can use it as a gin pole. Basically, I'll put a pulley in that and use it to pull out timber that's farther back there in the trees in the backhoe. And I'll run a cable from the pulley and it'll go back to those trees, and I'll be able to skid them out here where they're easier to access. This will work nice. Little area here for them to park, fairly private. I'm trying to keep all my cabins separated enough that they all feel like they have a little privacy to them. You know, there's the grizzly bear cabin, but you can see there's brush and stuff, and they're angled different, separated enough that it does provide some privacy. This one will be open, and I do believe we'll, if I can get the crew found and hired, I should be able to have the next one ready to roll by next summer too. And put on 2, and that should continue from now going forward. We'll be able to put on at least 2 new cabins per year now as the business has grown. And again, a lot of this is Kathleen. She comes out and plants these flowers and flower rings, and takes care of beautifying the place for me. Just about done with the septic system. I have to haul some more dirt in, then I'll dress all that mess up, and it'll be pretty and covered with fireweeds next year. We're back to the Bearview cabin now. A little bit left up there. I could hire somebody for a week or 2 just following behind me, cleaning up and finishing my projects that I haven't completed. I enjoyed on this woodwork, and I look forward to having people that build the cabins, and then I'll come in and do stuff like this little table and finish them up. And this here is all paneling. I didn't have the mill or the logs milled to do this, so we milled out some paneling and did it. Covered the walls in it. Worked well. I went back to logs this year, just a little simpler, less work.
Than there are this year. I think 19 versus 13. So this isn't something new. I think that we're just talking about it more and really, you know, kind of conjunction.
All the rest of them are full, so this is the only one I can show.
Given the fact that
I think my other videos show all the remainder of the cabins anyway. Housekeeper. Say hi, Kathleen. Well, that's it. What we've been up to since my last video. Same thing. Building more cabins. Hosting more guests. Other than spending all my time building these cabins, it's an enjoyable way to make a living. I look forward to having a crew that'll take care of the heavy lifting for me, and yeah, everything will just be a little easier after that. A little smoke in the air today. We've got some fire somewhere up here, but for the most part, it's just been a lot of days like this. I don't think there's been a 24-hour period yet when I haven't had to heat my house a little bit, but I'll take it compared to the really wet summers we've had here the last few years. I like my little gnomes. I've been buying those up and placing them around. Anywho, that's what's happening in my part of the world. Signing off till 2027. Bye.